or anything else to discuss, I think we can move right to the diversity statement discussion, which is why we're having a special meeting anyway. All right.
I have no announcements.
All right. Deanna, are you doing are you leading the discussion on the diversity statement?
I can. I wasn't sure.
Okay,
So,
I wasn't sure either.
Oh, sure. So I just knew we were having a special meeting, and I didn't know if Henry had tasked, who he had tasked with this. And so, but I'm happy to, since I've been coordinating it for the group.
Okay. Yeah, no,
So,
he just called me like 5 minutes before he sent that email out. So
okay. Then I will share screen and share process. And then Brittany, I don't mean to call you on the screen, but can you share what you sent to the group? Is that possible, or is it just what I sent you?
Me?
No, Brittany.
Oh, okay.
Well, I will. It's just what you sent me. Thank you, Brittany. I don't know if she's able to speak on here or maybe. Okay, so I'm going to pull open my email. So over the last year, I guess it started last year. It was requested that we update the diversity statement. The current statement is over 20. Well, I think it was adopted in like the 90s. And so we were asked to look at the statement. And so all WDIC members are invited to participate if they would like to or didn't want to. So what has happened is a series of meetings with a work group of WDIC members. This is pretty much whoever wanted to come. That included Henry, Rachel, myself, Ruby, I think JR was there, Renee was there, Larry was included, Leslie was included, and myself to start the process. And then in addition to that, I know that Lisa also volunteered. She was also involved prior to her appointment as interim county administrator. After that, she kind of had some other things she had to do. So we.
All right, Lisa, smile.
Yeah. Okay, like, come on, where's that almond joy spirit? And so
Ken was part of that too, right?
Yes, Dr. I'm sorry, I was forgetting. So he was a part of the group as well. And so after several iterations, I will share screen with you and just show you where we are in the process, and then request additional feedback. If you support this current recommendation of where we are, then we will have a 2-week deliberation period with county employees for them to review. We're going to actually put it in the project management tool that we're using for reimagining public safety. And we're going to create and give employees an idea to submit alternatives or ideas to or modifications to the statement. And then from there, we'll bring them back to WDIC for our October meeting. And then from there, we hope to have a final statement. Then we have to take it back to budget, capital, and personnel for approval, and then it'll go to the legislature. And then after that, we will have a celebration. So those are the pending steps for the diversity statement. So with that, I'll share a screen, and then feel free for those who are at the meetings to jump in. I feel like I'm showing my Zoom screen. Am I actually showing you my screen?
Yes.
With the statement? Okay. I need to make it a little bit bigger. So to the left, I guess that's to my, where it says current diversity statement, this is the statement that we've had for the last about 20 years. Then on the other side is proposed diversity statement. We had an option, what's under consideration, there are 2 sentences here. The first sentence would be, for option 1, would be Tompkins County leads with integrity in the pursuit of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice at all levels to dismantle systemic barriers that unjustly impact vulnerable populations. The other alternative to sentence 1 would be Tompkins County leads with integrity in the pursuit of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice at all levels to dismantle systemic barriers. That eliminates the word that unjustly impact vulnerable populations. That was something that came up in one of the last edits we received, because there was a question whether or not by putting vulnerable populations, is if that's the only group of people that we were looking at, as if we wouldn't, as if it was exclusive to those groups. So that was why that came up. And then the last sentence that the committee was unanimous in support for was, together we celebrate the diversity of voices while serving the public and cultivating an organization where all employees have institutional citizenship and support. So that is so we have two things for consideration. Well, multiple, I guess there are multiple things we can consider. I'll say it this way. I'll stop sharing screen for a second. One, of course.
And I think, it's a shorter, more succinct statement that we were hoping would be easier for people to grab a hold of and not just recite, but to actually actualize if it was just shorter and more concise.
And so, go ahead, Lisa, would you ask a comment?
I guess my question is, so are we looking to, this was just a discussion topic, are we looking to take action on this today?
Well, yes, I think both things. One, discuss this and see if there had any other modifications. And also I would just need some guidance on which option, because we want to give them one statement, without any. So whatever that, we need that decision on that. And also if there are any other changes, and from there, we just need to have consensus around what statement we want to send to the workforce. And knowing that we don't have a quorum right now, it doesn't seem like we're, but we'll work with what we have to move forward.
Sure.
So then this would just come back to WDIC in October?
Mhm.
Okay.
With just one option for the first sentence, or leaving it in both?
Well, I would what we would have to do in the meantime is, when we take it out, we want to give people one option. When we go to WDIC, when you come back, I'm going to share all the feedback we get. But in the meantime, in between the feedback and the WDIC meeting, we're going to have to probably reconvene our work group to kind of coalesce all the feedback we received and say what our final recommendation is as a work group. Does that make sense? Knowing that our final presentation will be, this is what we've done up to date. We met on September 22nd. We sent it out to the workforce. We took in that feedback. We reviewed it. We decided we think this is our final recommendation. Ask them up or down, or say, if you have any adjustments, we need to come out of the October 20-something meeting with a statement so that it can actually make it through between now and the end of the year. So then, to Lisa's question is, what do we need to have happen today? So step one is, for option, we need to determine what the first sentence will be. Do you like this with the unjustly impacted vulnerable populations? Do we want to leave that out? Are there other things we want to change about the statement? That's the discussion portion.
I'm happy to hear people's opinions. I have my thoughts, but I'd love to hear from others first.
I'm good with either option 1 or 2, honestly. I liked it when it had that last bit of the sentence on there, but I can't remember who it was that brought up possibly taking it out. I think it was Leslyn, which made sense, her concern for people thinking it was only those vulnerable populations that would be trying to dismantle the systemic barriers for. So it made sense at the time to take that out. So I'm good either way it goes, honestly.
Yeah. With her reasoning, I would go with option 2 for just that reason. Just so it doesn't specify or doesn't designate a particular population as this is for a particular population, it's for all of us.
I agree.
Yeah, I do too. I think I think it's a good point for it not to be misconstrued that it's just those populations. The other thing I really like is having been part of the first group that came up with the current diversity statement, and then I trained on it with staff every single year for years and years. I think one of the downsides of the diversity statement that we had before was that it was really long. And so, while you can review it every year and you can think of it and you can kind of know what it says, one of the nice things about keeping it really short and sweet is that it's concise. And I like the idea that we have something short enough that people could even get to a place where they could recite it. They could say, I know it, and I could say it, which I think makes it livable. So I think option 2.
I
agree too. I think it casts a wider net, just leaves more open.
So then we have consensus around option 2 for the sentence. Are there any comments around the second sentence here? Just as there are no additional notes on this, but if there are changes or modifications or questions around the sentence. We had robust discussion around the terminology of institutional citizenship. What we said that term, we're talking about having the full rights and abilities within our organization as Tompkins County, the institution. So first, there was discussion around when you mean citizen, because not citizenship means something different, especially for those who may be non-citizens. But when we talk about institutional citizens, we're speaking to, when we say we're all employees of institutional citizens, that's irrespective of whatever the societal constraints are. It's like saying that these are the full rights and privileges that you have by being a part of the organization, and trying to, reduce that barrier in terms of like saying, or creating almost a employee rights around that statement.
Even if people don't understand all the concept of institutional citizenship, just by those words being together, I think they get an idea of what it means to be a part of this institution, that you have all the rights thereof. So it may lead to further education and discussion, but I think it encapsulates enough so that you'll have some idea. So I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it either. I want to be appreciative and acknowledging of the staff that has worked really hard on this wording. I'll just say though, coming from working in aging and with people with disabilities, the word institutional, as soon as I read it, I just kind of cringed, like, oh, and I think about institutional racism. I think when I read citizenship and I read support, those rang true for me as, okay, great. Combined with institutional, I get it. I get where it's going. But my initial reaction was a little bit like, ooh, institutional. Okay. It feels
institutional.
Institutional, as opposed to like organizational. Seems a little more friendly. But
how about we say cultivating an environment where all employees have organizational citizenship and support?
That's great. That is great.
Okay.
Yeah. But does that mean that this has to go back to your drawing board of people, or this is helpful feedback?
No.
Great.
If it was, no.
Okay, I love that. I love that wordsmithing.
Cultivating an environment. Okay. I think this is what that space is for, right? This is what I would say. cultivating an environment. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Where all employees have organizational, I think is
Yep.
what we're.
Oh, you want to take out the word institutional?
Right.
Oh, okay. It's when you said cultivating.
Love it.
Because you're right. If that was her first reaction for seeing that word, then it probably is someone else's as well.
And so prior to this in higher ed, we were trained to not use the term institution because we had to use the word community instead of institution because of the reasons that you described before. And because I'm very, I know these processes are organic. And so some things are certain things where you have, like Lisa had a strong reaction to that, or that harkened something. For me, it didn't. So that's why I don't have both of them resonate with me. And so this is what the committee decides. We are okay with this, knowing that even in October, I assume we'll have some more iterations when it goes.
Or, since you use the word community, would community be better than environment?
I would go personally. I like Ruby, the environment. I think that's a perfect word.
Okay.
The concern that I would have there about inserting community is when it comes to the county, we're always talking about like our work as county employees, and then we're talking about the community that we serve. So I think there could be confusion there. I think what we have there, an environment where all employees have organizational citizenship and support, I think that's fantastic. I was having the same kind of visceral reaction to institutional, just because when it comes to so many of the people that we serve at DSS, we've been working for years to get them out of institutions. So it kind of kindles that, I think, the same way Lisa was saying. So I love what we have. I think it's good.
Yeah. Rachel, any thoughts?
Yeah, I would have the same concern that Kit said if we changed it to community, that people would confuse that for people in the community rather than our community as employees.
Sure. So we are raising, you can still see my screen, right? So we're raising these two sentences as our statement. Make sure I put this here. This is what based on what I hear,
Okay.
these will be the two sentences.
If we have Ruby read it out loud, I like the way Ruby reads it.
Thanks, Rachel. I was just gonna have you.
Ruby, Ruby, will you sing it out loud?
Oh, sure. Give me a tune. Okay. Oh, shut up, Ruby. Okay. Okay. Let me get back on track here. Okay, name that tune. Okay.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine.
Oh, not you, my sunshine, baby. Tompkins County leads with integrity in the pursuit of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice at all levels to dismantle systemic barriers. Together, we celebrate a diversity of voices while serving the public and cultivating an environment where all employees have organizational citizenship and support.
All right.
That's great.
D?
Oh, it's fine. I mean, no, it's you know what, I work with whatever the committee decides. As long as we can pull a diversity plan out of this next, does it have all of the key points? That's all I care about. So we could do that.
Okay.
Well, nicely done.
So next steps
will be I'm going to create a plan in our Q Market software. and send it to the folks from our work group and say, take a look at this and how this is going to be set up for our employees to respond to. And then also I will appreciate your tweaks and things of that nature. And I have to get that done by Monday at the latest so we can have 2 weeks and then give this group or give the working group a chance to respond to the feedback that we received. So thank you all. Great.
Sounds good.
Now, will the rest of the committee have to? No, it goes to them in October.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I assume. I'll say we met, we had a special meeting. This is what we took from the special meeting. We heard more voices, which is good because Lisa and Kit have not been involved in the other parts of this. I mean, at this point, because before we had a different statement. And so now we have additional feedback and the substance is, the foundation is there, you know, for all the things that we're trying to do. And so now I think that the changes we made were more nuanced to be more inclusive. That's what I took from these changes, to opt people in and use try to clarify some of the language. So I think we are ready to go forward. And I'll send an update to the committee, letting them know where we are based on our meeting today.
Hi, Leslie.
Is that Leslie? Is she here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't see her. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
This is where we are here, Leslie. I don't know if you've been watching or could hear. Henry is not feeling well, so he was not able to make it. So we have these two sentences that the words that they, the changes that were made were taking out, changed this word to environment and then took the word institutional out and changed it to organizational. The reason why institutional was removed is because they said that based upon some experiences, I think Lisa mentioned work with the Department of Aging and the Kit working with her client population, the term institutional has a potentially negative connotation. So if yours more you would like to add to or clarifying the use of the term institutional, we welcome that because we were just getting ready to wrap up. Is that a thumbs up? Oh, okay. Think of the thumbs up. So this is what we said is that we were going to take this to the workforce for 2 weeks and then bring it back to WDIC in October for a full vote and final vote.
Okay, so Deanna, you'll send out what came out of today minus all the other stuff.
Yes.
So we just have one clean document to look at.
Yes, it'll just be these two sentences is all it'll be left. Yes.
Okay. All right, because I know we've gone back and forth with this. Mm-hmm. And what I would ask people to do is just to think about that first graph there. Leads with integrity, blah, 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 at all levels to dismantle systemic barriers. Mm-hmm. Is that the only reason why we're leading with those things? I don't know why it just struck me that way. And it may be just fine, but something about it seems incomplete. And I don't know why. So don't ask me to explain it. I just don't know why.
So where we have been, and tell me if I mischaracterized something that you had said previously. This is what we had before. In terms of clarifying what we were a target, and for you, right? It's a different thing. Will you ask your question again so I understand it better?
No, I was just, and again, we don't have to talk about it now. I would just ask the people to think on it. Mm-hmm. It says Tompkins County leads with integrity in the pursuit of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice at all levels to dismantle systemic barriers. It's not the only reason why we're leading with integrity, diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. Is it only to dismantle systemic barriers?
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm. So maybe the two is not necessarily the word to lead to that second part.
Yeah, it just seems like there's something missing. So if I married the two, and I'm not saying do it. I'm not saying do it. Let me just be clear. I'm saying if I marry the two, it would be at all levels to dismantle systemic barriers and build organizational citizenship and support. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say, I'm not saying that's what you have to do at all.
You could even add an "and" after barriers and just link the two sentences, which might, I don't know if that's a run-on, but it would kind of, if we said systemic barriers and together we celebrate a diversity. So it would link the two and kind of, I don't know if that's enough.
I can hear the editor in the room, who's probably not here today, JR, and Dominic, the editors in the room, looking at us sideways, like, that's a long sentence.
That's what I was thinking, but we can do it.
But you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
I don't want people to think that that's the only reason why we're leading with integrity, is just to dismantle systemic barriers. Although I love that, that yes, this is why we're doing it. It seems almost incomplete.
So how about just Tompkins County leads with integrity in the pursuit of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice at all levels, and to dismantle systemic barriers. Just put an "and" in there. So we're leading and we're dismantling the barriers. Because you're right, it does seem like we're leading that to do this, but because we can't connect both sentences.
That doesn't ring to me. So I'm just bringing it up for people to think about it. Like I said, you don't have to worry about it now. I'm sure by tomorrow morning when I look at this some more, it'll be just fine. It's been a long day already, and it'll probably be just fine the way it's written by tomorrow morning. So yeah, I don't know why that just occurred to me.
Also, what we could say is that as you have ideas, we are, I completely assume this will not be the final iteration. In October, I expect it to look different. I've been honest. So we are saying to me, does this hit all the boxes that we needed to say, in terms of intent and purpose for the statement, and can we, with these two sentences that we have here, launch a strategic diversity plan that ties us also to our policy, and so the nerd in me, that's what I'm always thinking about, So if we can do that, then I'm okay with however we get here.
Okay.
Thanks for just indulging me in that part. It just, yeah. I'll think on it some more. And like I said, it might be just fine by tomorrow morning.
And then also we're gonna put this out for 2 weeks. And so this will give you a chance, how you talked about how you're gonna use the tool that we purchased, the Q Market software. You can put all kinds of ideas in there. Listen, you have we look forward to having them, but also if you all feel strongly about this, you want to discuss this further, I'm not trying to squelch the conversation. I just want to make space for this.
Thank you, Leslie. You planted a little niggling seed now for me.
Now
too.
she's going to have us wondering about it all night.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm thinking? Well, I have it. The previous versions, Deanna.
Uh-huh.
The previous versions.
Yes, I have those too. We do.
Yeah. So could you do just for me? I don't know if anybody else wants it anyway. If we could have that, what we have now, and the first one we came up with, maybe there's some words we can add to it.
Are you talking about the one that had all the values information in it? The ones we're talking about? Because that was in the middle column. Yes, I can copy that in here. Just a second. All right, taking that out. Just give me a minute or so.
That way, it's 4:05. when it's not after 4 and our thinking is a little bit better, we may be able to pull something from that.
Or just a second, I am going back to this. Here it is. Here is the, so the first draft. Here it is. As I look at it against this other one, whew.
We've come a long way, baby, right?
We had a lot to say in that statement. Hi, Ann. So I'm just going to plop that in here, right? Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah, somewhere along in there, just so we can kind of look to see maybe we missed something.
Sorry, I should have just done one. Okay. You were just asking, here is this, Lord, that's how long that was. So,
You know what? Maybe we can get rid of the current diversity statement because we know what
sure
that
can.
is.
Okay.
And that might help spacing wise.
How y'all gonna have me on the web doing technology change? You know, you can't do that.
Hey, you're good.
And welcome, Ann. We're glad you're here.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late. I had
That's
to
okay.
go to another meeting.
So just to recap where we are, we were making final consideration for the draft we want to share with the employees. These two sentences here are where we are. There was a question that Leslie has raised about whether or not this first sentence here feels incomplete. And if we're looking at one of the other drafts that we had here for potential inspiration.
So on the right side are the left side is the working one, the right side is the older version?
Yes. And it's
first
not
draft. Okay.
first draft. And so this is our current. This is because I just had to do this on the screen. Otherwise, it would be the opposite. But yes, this right here is what we're proposing to the Tompkins County community as right now. Sorry.
Hey, Dee, you can actually get rid of the option 1 and option 2.
Right. Yeah.
Save yourself some space. Okay. All right. And that was just for inspiration. We don't have to decide anything now if you don't want to.
And I would love to hear your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, so just it sounds good, but it sounds kind of like a high level. You know, like you have to really know, you have to know a lot about equity and diversity to understand a little bit what this means. I don't, that's my first take on it. That just, but we don't want to have it be too plain language because then you take out some of the stuff. So I don't know. Is that kind of what Leslyn was saying? Is she still here?
Yes, she's still here. Leslyn, feel free. Yeah, I know she knows
I'm
she can.
here. I'm here. I'm sorry, I was multitasking. Annie, you're asking if what I was saying is the language being too high level?
Yeah, she said
No.
that you had some input on it, and I'm just saying that was my first take of, I'm not sure what to do, but it just seems like you have to think about it a lot, you know, and it's although I don't know as you want to so-called like dumb it down, but it's complex and it does say it, but it just, I don't know, there's just something that might be hard for people to understand what we're getting at, so to speak.
So I like it a lot, Annie.
Mhm.
except for one part. And I
Okay.
like it a lot for exactly the reason you're talking about. One, that it makes you think
Okay.
and provides that opportunity for you to really understand what something means. Because, if it's just simple, then often it just gets taken for granted. But if you have to really think about this, what do I mean by this, and get educated about what I mean by it, I think it helps. I can see your point. What I was struggling with was the first part of it, that first graph that talks about Tompkins County leads with integrity in the pursuit of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice at all levels to dismantle systemic barriers. And my question was, is that the only reason why we're leading with these things? Is it only to dismantle systemic barriers? It felt incomplete to me, like it needed something else.
Okay, so you know how when you, I can't think of it other than, this is going to be, to be honest, a terrible metaphor, but that's the only way I can think of it. So you know how when you get ready to discipline somebody, where you tell them what you're going to say, but you go in high, then you tell them the bad things, and then you end with some kind of positive trajectory. And so with this statement, I wonder if it's because it's like to eliminate all the bad stuff. We don't have an upward trajectory on the other side of the statement. Because you're like, because I think you're asking to dismantle some, but we don't do it just because things are wrong. We're also doing it to take us somewhere, which is a proactive thing. And so that's why the only thing I can think of metaphorically is
right, like something like to provide. I mean, I'm not coming up with the right word, so I'm tired too. But something about like providing a level playing field. I mean, you have like, let's see. We have voices, but to lift up voices or to lift people up, something like we're doing this to, that might answer the, we're doing this, why?
And it may sound, and it's probably not politically correct, but it's because it's the right thing to do. Because it's the better part of us. It is that aspirational, it's what we need to do to be, I'm trying to figure this out. But anyway, I will read it again and again.
I'm thinking about the phrase "in service to the public" as just an added phrase at the end of that.
So take it out of the second sentence, is what you're saying?
Oh, I didn't even see it there. It's probably where I lifted it from. Well, yeah,
Lisa?
it's late in the day. Never mind.
Is that another talent, Lisa?
I told you guys this was just for us to read over and think about tonight, and we're trying to resolve the issue today.
Yeah.
When none of us are thinking.
That's why I didn't want to bring it up.
Well, no, we knew where this was headed. I could tell where this was headed. What we're not going to do today. I'm just teasing, but we just want to be able to say we have something that's concrete that we want to take back to the organization, unless we want to hold it and hold the statement. But I don't think I could stand that. I don't know if I can do that.
So is the consensus to read and think and comment when you send it out?
So the question to that, as you comment, are you going to just comment on once it's out to the employees? And I say that perspective of, I don't want 50 emails talking about, well, I thought we were going to send this to the employees. That's all I'm saying. So whatever we agree to here today, we'll leave it. This is what I'm going to put in. Okay. This is what I'm going to send out. So that's what I just want to make sure I'm clear on that. I get that instruction. Yep. And so we feel strongly about it. I'll wait us out. It'll be like Sunday afternoon for me at church. I'll just sit here. You got one more, Leslie? One more? I can see it.
Yeah, I'll be turning stuff upside down. And I go back on my own language because I don't understand what language. I don't like how that sounds anymore. Anyhow, no, hold off on it and let's all just, sleep on it and see if we come up with anything different. If we don't, then we send it out as is.
Okay, so then, Madam Chair, will you let me know, do we want to set a deadline for when, that's all I mean is, do we want to have like another week or so before we send it to the employees? Or
I take it you're talking to Rachel, not me.
yes, or the entire group. And I know because you were saying you wanted to hold. So I didn't know if you, and before I send it out, I just didn't know how much time you're thinking this WDIC would like to, yes, or Rachel, contemplate this further.
So you were wanting to send it out to the workforce before the next WDIC meeting, right?
Yes, because they meet in October. Well, here's the thing, this committee can decide to do whatever it decides, right? But in order for it to be passed this year, it has to go through 2 more committees again. So that's what I'm trying to get to. Since WDIC only meets every other month, they'll meet in October, then it has to go to BCP and then to the Ledge. So
okay, and you're wanting to send it out to the workforce by Monday?
Yes, I was trying to send it out by Monday so that they could have a 2-week deliberation period. Then from there, we'll have to get the working group back together.
Yep.
So I'll have to review all the feedback that we receive from the employees or anybody else who comments on it. Then make any final adjustments to make a final recommendation to WDIC in October.
So I would say let's plan to send this out as it is on Monday. And if we have any of us in this group or the working group have thoughts between now and then, we can communicate via email about that. And otherwise it just goes out as it is on Monday, since we all seem okay with it as is for now. And then we have, what's today's Wednesday, we've got Thursday and Friday, Saturday and Sunday, if you want to include those to send any ideas your way for changes.
The only thing I struggle with that process is there's no consensus. It's leaving it to me, which I'm not trying to do, is make a determination on whatever the feedback is. So if we don't come out of here with, this is what the group decides, the group will need to get back together, because my understanding, the point is to say, this is the recommended statement from WDIC as of right now. And this is the only time that and so, or we can hold it till October, and if the group decides that it won't get passed this year, that's also another option. I mean, we'll just keep working on it until we get it done.
I mean, I would rather it get done this year.
Okay. I think so. I think Leslie, you were on mute. I think you're saying I agree. She wants to get it done this year. We do. Yeah. So if we want to get it done this year, then we need to get this out for Monday so that we can have the 2-week period. And then also keep in mind, this working group, like for example, the group we had before, I'm going to send all that feedback to them to try to get a meeting scheduled before, again, before the 27th. I think that's when the next WDIC meeting. And so that's going to be the last, well, potentially the last pass at it, because then we'll take it to WIC, DIC to vote. So if there are things when we're talking about leads with integrity or looking at why to answer Leslie's question around other reasons we lead, in addition to dismantle systemic barriers, I think we can also, that period can be used to adjust and address that question as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I imagine the workforce will give us lots to contemplate also. So
probably more than we want to contemplate.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I like it as it is. Just go ahead and send it out. See what people say. I'm good with it as it is.
So then I'll send it out on Monday. And then, like I said, we can still work on it. So we can still work.
And let me just quickly see, here's why I'm saying I'm good with it as it is. When I read the second part again, when I read the whole thing, and I read the second part again, it sort of adds that portion I was talking about that the first part seems to leave hanging. You know, it's almost a qualifier comes next. So I'm fine with it as is. Let's people do some work to start thinking through what we mean by some of this, and it creates for good educational opportunities and dialogue. Don't listen to me anymore.
I am still thinking about it though, and I think that you know, when it goes up, I will submit a little. I think Ruby, your idea about serving the public, I would want to see in the first sentence and take it out of the second sentence, but I'll save it for the engagement tool.
Are you sure, Lisa? Oh, so are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what Lisa said. I'm having a hard time hearing people.
Well, I think that the phrase "while serving the public" in the second paragraph, that kind of gets at what government is about. It's about public service. That's about mission. And that's more, I see it as nicely fitting as to what we do in the first sentence. So somehow if we were to say, leads with integrity in the pursuit of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice at all levels to dismantle systemic barriers, either in service to the public or while serving the public, something like that. That would finish it in some way for me. And then in the second part, it's messing with that sentence, but it's together we celebrate a diversity of voices while cultivating an environment while all employees have organizational citizenship and support.
That works.
However, I'm fine if you just want to put it out as is and let the organization have at it.
I'm struggling with the term public. And so now I'm trying not to be one of you in this conversation today.
No, please do.
But I feel like I'm one of us. When I say that, I'm trying not to deep with it. You know, when you say in service to the public, you know how you said you had that visceral reaction to like the word institutional?
Yes.
I struggle with the word public in that way because I think public is important, but it's almost like it's the covering. People always say how it resonates with me is when we talk about diversity, they'll start talking about a diversity of opinions. And then as opposed to diversity of the experiences and the various things and the dimensions of equity. So to me, it almost feels like being diluted when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice, and we talk in service to the public, because if we really serve the public in the way marginalized communities look for, we wouldn't have a diversity statement, you know, because there would be no need for one. And so in my mind, so that's what I think is important to celebrate and to honor, but I just mean like, if we had real equity and inclusion, I'd be worked out of a job, you know? And so that's how I think about it fundamentally. So to say in service to the public, but who is the public is what I mean, because to me, that's a catch-all for all things. And that's just my thought in this space. I don't have any other thoughts around that.
Is it that phrase in proximity to dismantle systemic barriers? And it does, because where it is now in the second paragraph doesn't, that same reaction is not, you don't have that same feeling.
I don't, because I think of the second sentence as two statements. One, the first half of it celebrates diversity of voices to the public, right? We're saying, this is what we're here for you, which we should be. Yep. And the other one is speaking to the internal aspects of saying, this is what, as employees, this is the expectation to the public, but also as employees, we recognize you as members of the public and as I won't say institutional citizens. So it's very, I can chunk it out in my mind, the different areas. And so I'm not necessarily, there's no right or wrong. What you said is not, we're all working through what we need to work through to get to this statement.
Yeah. No, it's good to hear your reaction to it. So I'm happy leaving it just as it is.
Are we all in agreement with sending this out on Monday as it is?
Anne, I'll say Anne looking very serious. Anne, are we ready?
Absolutely.
Just making sure. Leslie, are we ready? I know we're not done. We're not done.
How many days are there between now and Monday?
4 or 5. What's it? Today is Wednesday, right? Thursday,
all right.
Saturday, Sunday.
Leslie, you have a direct path to the facilitator.
So I do?
Yes.
Who's that?
She will answer your call at any time.
So I'm going to take a stab at it. Just listening to everything that you're saying. I'll take a stab at this boy. Kip, I might come back to something you said earlier. That little run-on thing. Only with a few less words. We'll see.
Just
So
don't
we'll
let
keep this
JR
as
read it
this is
before
our
you
first goal. I'll take a stab and send something out.
We'll
to
drive
y'all.
JR and others crazy.
All those doggone editors.
So which part are you thinking about, the whole thing? Because she's Leslie, as an artist, there are so many ways to get this statement. So I just want to ask, as just a person who's the convener, I'm just convening the process. I'm not any more than that. Are we going to see a whole different statement on Monday? I feel like that's what's coming.
I do this exercise with folks called, when they want to talk about branding themselves, called, what's your awesome sauce?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm reading this through the lens of, when we put this out, what is the awesome sauce that's Tompkins County that we want people to, jump on, and it just comes out at us like, oh, I want some of that sauce in everything I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, give me a couple of days. Let me throw something out there.
Okay.
Let me awesome sauce it and see. Keep this just in case I don't come up with something, and we can send it out. Or we can send out both sauces on Monday and see what people say.
And also, even if you don't get to it, if you still want to awesome sauce it after, we can still, you can awesome sauce the next month.
Yeah, awesome sauce is a good exercise to do.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing. What I would say is, to me, from a technical place, we meet expectations. Is there anything about this that makes me go, this is awesome? No, but it doesn't disturb me in that a part of my work, our work, is I think about consistency and behavior as an attitude towards minoritized populations. So if we could keep it and create consistency, I'm all for it. So that's why it doesn't, but this checks all the boxes. It's just not it doesn't make you go, oh my God, I gotta go work at Tompkins County. But it does say, they do have some things in place that you're not gonna be harassed all the time.
Yeah, that soundbite that just jumps out at you when you read and you say, I see what they're about. Yeah, I see what the secret ingredient in the sauce is right there. That's that oomph. Yeah.
So you can also reference the first draft of these words.
That was not a diversity statement. I love the work on it. That was definitely a testimonial.
It's a testimonial, like a Sunday testimonial, Sunday service.
But it was cool. It was cool. All right, I'm good.
Okay, so then Leslin, so then if I don't hear from anybody on here or anybody on Monday by noon, then I'm going to assume that we're just gonna go with this statement, knowing that we're gonna add some awesomeness to this along the next month.
Awesome sauce, I think she said.
Awesome sauce. Okay.
Awesome sauce.
Okay. Do you think we could get away with adding the word awesome sauce to the actual statement? Okay.
This is our awesome sauce diversity statement.
I like that. It lends some joy to it.
Rachel, this
Cool
is
beans,
Rachel's
y'all.
meeting.
What's that?
Rachel, this is Rachel's meeting, so whatever you, Madam Chair, I'm listening to you. We're done with this part. So.
Well, I think we're good to adjourn this meeting, right? I mean, I think we're at a place where we're sending it out on Monday. We all have a chance to say something more about it between now and Monday if we want to, and then we'll play with it again after we hear back from the workforce.
That's fine, Rachel. May I ask a question?
Yeah.
I thought, was there any movement, do you know, or Deanna, of having Sachem George and the other members of representatives of the Cayuga Nation come to this meeting to present?
I spoke with Henry and he said he was gonna follow with you.
Henry was going to follow up?
With you.
Oh, okay. Then I'll leave it alone. Thank you.
Yeah, he and I talked yesterday, and he first of all, specifically related to today, didn't feel like there was enough notice because it was just yesterday when we just talked, and so, but he said he's going to touch base. So that's where we left it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do we need a motion to adjourn, or we can just adjourn?
I think you should have a motion to adjourn, which I will move.
Second.
Seconded by Lisa. Okay.
And we're all in favor of adjourn.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Rachel.
I'll talk to you a little later.